All right, so when it comes to modeling clothing, there's obviously many different methods you could use. You could, of course, just model it right on the character. Like model it into the character. The problem with that is if you ever want to change anything, maybe change his outfit, you essentially have to remodel the character or start from scratch again. And there's, a few different approaches. And I'm going to take a couple different approaches between the shirt and the pants. So the problem with modeling on top of the character, like we're going to do here, is that sometimes you get geometry, sort of crossing over into. So basically, you would see like the arm or the chest through the shirt. There's some tricks I have to kind of fix that. We could use like an opacity mask or a on the rest of the body so you don't see it, or we could just assign that a different shader, a transparent shader. So yeah, there's some things we can do to solve that issue. Now the method I'm going to be using for the shirt is using the quad draw tool. Let me delete my history here. So if I go over to my modeling toolkit here, I have this quad draw tool down here. Now basically if I have my model selected and I click this, it will it'll treat it like I want to edit my model. So if I move around my points, I can add edge loops. I can move faces around, even though that's kind of freaking out on me. So I don't actually want to edit my model. So I'm going to back out of the quad draw tool. And I want to use it on top of my model here. So in order to do that, I need to make my model live. So to do that, we're going to go to Modify, Make Live. And I should probably do that with it smooth, just so I can match things up a little bit better. So I'll go to Modify, Make Not Live, smooth the mesh, and then go to Modify, Make Live. And now if I select the quad draw, I can actually draw on top of the model. So the way the quad draw tool works, a few different ways. So if I click anywhere and I just make 4 points and I hold down Shift, it will create a face that I can move around. And wherever I move it, it's going to kind of follow the geometry of my model. So I can select my points here and move them around. So if my plan is to make kind of like a V-neck t-shirt. And if I hold down Tab, I will have a polygon that I can drag away, drag around and click and draw. So if I hold down Tab and drag, it will drag out points like that for me. If I hold down Tab and middle mouse drag, it will change the size of that. Oops. If I hold down Tab and go to an edge here, it will basically let me extend that edge. So I think how I have this guy in my concept art is he has just like a V-neck shirt, nothing crazy. And obviously I'm not following my concept art too much more at this point, so I'm kind of eyeballing it here. So for something like this, the back of the neck, I could just do a hold down Tab and click and drag. And then if you click your points and move them together, they'll automatically merge together, which is nice. And then I can just kind of move these around to get them to look the way I want. Again, I can extend that and I can move these guys to the center. I can also mirror it. I'll probably just mirror it whenever the time comes to mirror. Whenever I'm complete with one half, I'll mirror it then. Now if I hold down Control, I will make an edge loop. And if I hold down Tab and middle mouse, I can scale the edge. And if let's see, there's a way to extend a whole edge loop. Oh, that's not it. Well, the useful thing about this is that if I'm not sure about the hotkeys, I can always go to Autodesk Maya Help and just do a quick search for quad draw. And the first result you have will give you a link for quad draw hotkeys. And so Control Shift middle drag will move an edge loop. Tab middle drag will extend an edge loop. So if I jump back into Maya and Tab middle drag, I will actually extend that entire edge loop. So if you're ever confused about what that can do, you can always go back and look at those hotkeys. And kind of like learn how to manipulate that. So the rest of this video is just going to be a time lapse of me going through and making the shirt, connecting things up, and then I'll probably stop and show you how to, because right now it's way too close to the body. So what I'm going to do after I make the shirt is extrude it out a little bit so it's a little off the body, and then maybe I'll use in cloth or something to kind of get it to fold over the body correctly. You don't have to do it that way, but I just kind of want to show you guys different methods to go about making your clothing. All right, so now that I have the shirt kind of pretty much taken care of, there's some geometry issues that I definitely want to fix. So to do that, I'm going to back out of the quad draw tool. So now that's an actual object. And then I can make my character not live. So modify, make sure I have nothing selected when I do that. Modify, make not live. So I want to make sure that all of my transforms here are zeroed, because what I want to do is just drag this off to the side so I can kind of look at it without the geometry of the character getting in the way. And because my translation is 0 or was 0, now that I moved it, if I want it to go back to that, I can just zero that out and it'll snap back into place. So what I'm going to do now is just go through and kind of fix the geometry, tweak it a little bit, and then I'll probably, let's go ahead and do a, so I can do a duplicate special here. And I'm going to edit my geometry, so we'll go into another quick time lapse, and then I'll talk to you about how to get it to kind of conform to the character a little bit. Alright, so that last part I was just adding in geometry because I'm going to use in-cloth, so I want it to have a little bit of tessellation, so it has kind of a natural feel to it. So what I want to do here is, before I merge the two sides together, I want to zero out those transforms so they're in the right place. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I combine them together, the shirt's going to be over here and it's going to freeze all the transforms. So even though the shirt's over here, my pivot point will be over here, and I don't want that. So I will edit, duplicate special. Do a mesh combine. And select all of the center vertices. Scale them in until they don't scale any longer. And then do edit mesh, merge, and just make sure you have a low threshold. And now I can pull this off to the side and look at it and make sure everything looks okay. Now obviously it kind of just looks like his body at this point, so what I'm going to do, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, go to face mode and select all of the faces and extrude out. And this basically will just kind of bring it off of the body a little bit so it's not right on top of the body. The problem is that I want to, now it has all these interior faces that I want to get rid of. So I'm just shift double clicking and deleting those edge loops. Or those edge rings, I guess you could call them. And then on this interior part, I can just select a face and hold down shift and hit the, I guess that would be the less than key, the one right to the left of your question mark, and that's grow selection. So I can just continue to grow that selection until I have all those faces selected, and then I can delete. And then I can zero that back out, and it's kind of a little bulky, but that's okay. We're going to use in cloth and have it kind of fit on the character a little bit better. But first what I want to do is go to my sculpting tools and grab my grab brush and make sure that I have mirror on, which I do, and kind of shape it out a little bit. Maybe smooth it in areas to make it more like shirt-like, I guess, and not so much just like the shape of his body. I do want it to have a little bit of bulk, so whenever I turn it into in cloth, it will kind of fall like a shirt would fall over the body. I definitely want to make sure that his underlying body is not going through it at all. And then after I do the in cloth, I'm still going to probably shape it out a little bit, you know, make it look like it's actually tucked into his pants, like the reference here. So when I have that kind of all shaped out the way I want it to be, I can delete my history and, just for safety's sake, freeze my transformations. Alright, so a really easy way to make our shirt to look like it's actually falling on the character is to use in cloth. So before I do anything with in cloth, I went ahead and extended my time slider to 1000 or 10,000, and I want to make sure my animation settings are set to play every frame. If it's set to real time, basically what's going to happen is your simulation won't solve properly. It'll skip frames to try and keep it playing at real time, whereas play every frame will actually solve or simulate for every single frame, so you'll get a proper simulation with that. So make sure your playback speed is set to play every frame and hit save. And then we're just going to go over to our FX menu. We're going to select the body and go to in cloth and create a passive collider with the body, and then select the shirt and go to in cloth and create a in cloth with the shirt. And then if we hit play, we should see that kind of start to move a little bit. Now there's still a pretty huge gap in between our body and the shirt, and that's because of our collision thickness. So if I select my shirt and I come to my in cloth shape here, my solver display is set to 0, and I want it to kind of represent what the thickness is. So I'm going to set that to collision thickness, and you'll still see that we have a little bit of a gap there, and that's because your passive collider also has a collision thickness. So if I go and turn on the collision thickness for that, we'll see that they're actually meeting up, or that those two thicknesses meet up. So I want to take the thickness for the body. I'm just going to go ahead and take that pretty much all the way down. And then I'll jump over to the shirt, and I want to take that down quite a bit as well. And I can actually hit play while I'm doing this. And I can change this thickness while that's playing, and we can kind of go down until we start to see, you know, the geometry on the other side coming through. So something like that. So when I'm done with that, let me turn my thickness or my display to off. Now when I'm done with that, delete all my history, and then go into my outliner, window outliner, and delete my nodes. And what's going to happen whenever I delete my nodes is that I'm going to get two shirts here, and one is that in-cloth shape and one is my input mesh. So you'll see that I have the one that's kind of drooping over the arm correctly, and then the one that's in its initial state. So what I can do is just, now I can go to mesh separate, and it doesn't seem to want to let me separate. So an easier thing, let me delete all my history on that again and try that again. Nope, doesn't want to work. Okay, so because it's still got inputs. So sometimes an easy way to fix errors like that you're getting is just to combine your objects together. So if I just grab the body there and do a mesh combine, basically once you do that, it'll treat everything as like a completely new mesh. So all the input connections are gone. So then I can separate, and that'll separate out everything, and I can just delete that other one that I have there. So now I have my shirt. If I really want to be sort of particular about this, it's probably not completely symmetrical. It may be. It looks pretty good. But sometimes, since your in-cloth is actually a simulation, the result you'll get will not be something symmetrical. But I think that's pretty good for now. I can, again, I can come in with like my grab tool at this point, and I have, again, I have symmetry turned to mirror world X. So if I want to kind of bring this, kind of tweak this a little bit to where it's not going through the geometry, I can do that with my grab tool. But I have a way to actually hide that geometry underneath whenever it comes time to either render or animate, so we don't get Z fighting or geometry going through each other. So that's the shirt. Next, I'll move on to modeling the pants, and then the pants will be quite a bit more because we'll have like a belt and belt loops and things like that. And shirt, basically all the details for the shirt's going to be in the texture. So shirt's pretty simple. Next, we'll move on to the pants, and then hopefully we'll get to modeling some accessories like the backpack and this walking stick and things like that.